You're tuned in to the Mountain West Firearms Podcast, where honest talk and expert insight meet the world of shooting, training, and responsible firearm ownership. Let's dive in.
Hi, everybody. Robert Wareham again with Mountain West Firearms with another podcast episode. Today, I want to kind of bring everybody in our audience up to date on the progress of our indoor shooting range. Many of you have come by the store over the last several months, and we shared with you our plans long-term to put in an indoor shooting range. In fact, it was never our intention to just open a standalone retail store, but in April, when our building at 1484 Charlotte Highway became available in the wake of Helene, we looked at it as an opportunity to at least introduce ourselves to the community and to get our systems in place and tested. And it's been very valuable from that standpoint. I mean, we have established dealerships with many of the largest distributors in the firearms wholesale marketplace. We've also become dealers with some of the top firearms manufacturers. Sons of Liberty, Henry Rifles, and others have made us dealers. We're also dealers for Gulco holsters as well as Urban Carry. And every day it seems like we almost sign up some new manufacturer to provide their product to the community. One of the challenges we have experienced, and we've shared this with folks, we're limited in the number of firearms we can actually keep in inventory at the store because the building was not designed to be a firearms store. And, of course, it's got windows. It has a large roll-up door, which could be vulnerable to a vehicle ramming. Not that I want to give anybody any ideas. We have done what we can to reinforce the building. We've put bars on the windows that are at ground level. We put straps across the panes in the roll-up drawer. And every night, we remove every firearm from the display cases and all the firearms from the wall, and we put them inside a hardened room inside the building that we call the vault. And we have two rolling shelf units, and so we take and we remove everything from the wall, we put it on these shelves, and we roll them in there, and that door has been reinforced and deadbolt locks put on it. So at the very least, any attempted intrusion and burglary would be met with a substantial delay. And, of course, we have ample closed-circuit cameras and alarm systems that would notify law enforcement. We don't want any of our firearms landing in the hands of criminals. And so for that reason, we voluntarily limit the number of firearms that we have in stock to those which we can take down and store every night. So that's sort of the story there. But back to the status of the range. It's almost a year and a half ago now, when we first started thinking of opening a firearms store, we also looked at the concept of it being a range. In fact, my wife, Jennifer, when she originally suggested we open up a firearms store, and I just started looking for a retail space, she says, no, I think we need to do the successful ones, all have indoor ranges with them. And so we went down to West Palm Beach, Florida, where the National Shooting Sports Foundation was having their retailer and range expo that they have every summer in West Palm Beach. And that is an expo just for firearms retailers and range owners. Well, suffice it to say, it was an eye-opening experience. The opportunity that exists in the indoor range, private range marketplace is phenomenal. And we immediately made the decision that this is something we needed to bring to North Carolina. There have been indoor ranges in western North Carolina, and suffice it to say they've filled a need, but things have reached a point where many people say they're crowded or some have gone out of business. We're looking at making one really a truly modern, contemporary range with first-class digital range equipment, air conditioning equipment that makes it so that when you fire your weapon, not even the gases from your own weapon come back into your nostrils. And then that air is taken and pulled out of the building, run through a HEPA filter so that it's not put out into the environment. The cost of putting in a range, between the range equipment and the HVAC air handling equipment, it's about the same. I mean, you spend as much on ventilation as you do on the modern range equipment that you use to move targets back and forth. And many of the modern target systems can give you shoot, no shoot scenarios. They can flip a target. They can do things. And so it's just very exciting time. The other thing that we noticed is that there's large segments of the market that are underserved. And the feedback that you get and what you hear when you do market surveys is that women especially need to feel comfortable and not threatened coming into a range environment. And in fact, your average consumer does not want to be treated in a condescending fashion by people who consider themselves experts in firearms and question why, a new shooter is coming to the range. That's the whole point of the range, is to make people better handlers of their firearm and safer handlers of their firearm. So anyway, we made the decision to move forward. We started looking for a site, and we found what we believe to be an absolutely ideal location in about November of last year. And that location was down near the intersection of Interstate 40 and U.S. 74A, what we know as Charlotte Highway, the very highway that our store is located on now. And so right there at that prime location at that intersection, there was 1.6 acres that had been on sale for over 10 years. And so we went in. We initially started just by making an offer on it, but it readily became clear that we needed more time to perform our due diligence to make sure that the site could accommodate a building, that it was a permissible use for the building. So we converted the purchase contract into an option to purchase at an agreed-upon price. And to be fair with the seller, we said, look, we may not we may not close on this for 4, 5, 6, 8 months even, but to compensate you fairly for the delay in closing, we would agree to increase the purchase price by about $5,200 for every month that passed by. And that represented, frankly, about a 5% return on the purchase price of $1.25 million. So we put up $20,000 in earnest money. We followed that with geotech studies and site planning. We got some initial concept drawings, which many of you who have visited the store have seen. And we were very excited about this. Now, of course, to take on a project of this size, the budget is about $8 million, to tell you the truth, between purchasing the property and building a building and doing all of the other things you have to do. It was going to take about $8 million. And so when you go out to raise private equity capital in the United States, you're allowed to make, if you're not going to make it a public offering, you can do a private offering, but you have to register it with the Securities and Exchange Commission under both North Carolina law and federal law, and basically it's referred to as an exempt offering. And you have to have these documents prepared by attorneys, and we have a very fine attorney downtown that has been working on these over the year. And we had them all ready to go, and frankly, we had some interest by certain investors. And, not all of them work out. Some you decide that probably aren't going to be the right partner for you in this venture for a variety of reasons. But we were really on the verge. We had the private placement memorandum, which is required to have an exempt private offering. We had one of them prepared. We were in the process of getting the second one done, which was going to allow for community investors which would be smaller dollar denomination investors to come in and own a part of the range itself, sort of as a founding member, if you will, with some membership privileges going along with that. Well, suffice it to say, just on the verge of having all of this ready to go so that we could start an equity campaign in the fourth quarter of 2025, I received a notice from the selling broker through my attorney that they had received a competitive offer. And under the terms of our option, if a bona fide competing offer came in, then we had 10 days in which to exercise our option. And to exercise that option, we had to post an additional $125,000 in non-refundable earnest money, and then we had to close within 30 days after exercising the option. So essentially, we were given the notice 2 days before Jen and I were supposed to leave on a little vacation to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary. We received a notice that they had received what they considered to be a bona fide offer that they were going to accept. And they attached a copy of the offer to the notice, and it didn't take very long to realize that the selling broker had provided a copy of our option to the competing buyer and all of its financial terms, and that the competing buyer had calculated not just our base purchase price, but also the added $5,250 per month, and had proposed to go under contract immediately to purchase this land and to close on it by mid-November. And in fact, they had calculated what our purchase price would have been in November of 2025, and that was their offered price for the property. So clearly, they were trying to put us in a position where the owner would say, well, I'll take this because I get all my money now. In fact, if you think about it, the owner, the seller, got the full benefit of the bargain that I offered him, including the escalated purchase price, got the benefit of the geotech study that I paid to have done, all of that benefit, and deprived this community and Mountain West Firearms of the opportunity to build on that site, because I simply could not put up $125,000 that was non-refundable in hopes that we would be able to raise the remaining $1 million or so in just a short 30-day period. So many of you have seen the photos. Many of you have seen the plot map. When you came into the office, it showed that we were going to be on this parcel at 303 Gashes Creek Road. I'm very sorry to inform you that that is no longer the case. We did not exercise the option. We lost our option on that property. So, does that mean we're giving up? Absolutely not. We still believe that Western North Carolina desperately needs a modern, well-lit, comfortable facility where men and women and youths and competitive shooters and casual shooters can come and become more proficient with the use of firearms, can get good training, can have a good retail store. And so we are currently looking for another location. Certainly, if any of you listening to this know of a location that you think would work, we would be happy to hear about that. It would be a location preferably somewhere along, U.S. 74A, or it would be a location potentially in the Fletcher area, somewhere along Hendersonville Road or around the airport. We've had some people suggest that it probably would be wise to put this facility outside of Buncombe County and certainly outside of the city of Asheville. And so that's something that we're looking at quite carefully as well. So I just wanted to communicate to you through this podcast that nothing has changed. Mountain West Firearms is here to stay. We will continue to operate out of our retail location. And hopefully we can get that location to be profitable sooner. And then we will, at the same time, pursue simultaneously identification of a new location for our range, which we hope to open sometime in the next 18 to 24 months. So that's the status of the range project at the moment. I know I've taken down the names of many of you who've said you were interested. We'll be communicating with you separately by email to see what your interests are and to keep you informed as to what's going on with regard to the progress. So we want to share that with you. We consider you folks to be part of our family, part of our community. This is a project to benefit Western North Carolina that we take very seriously, and we intend to proceed with it. I'm Robert Wareham, and that's it for today from Mountain West Firearms. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Mountain West Firearms Podcast, where skill meets responsibility. Subscribe for straight talk and expert insight, and we'll see you on the next one.